A warm welcome back to GlobeTrotting. Be sure to hit that subscribe button as I push for 60,000. Very rarely have we ever seen airlines come back for more Airbus A380s after their initial order. The one outliner just being Emirates, who throughout production for the A380 came back to continue boosting their commitment. They couldn't get enough of the aircraft, but they were certainly alone in that nature. Away from them, there was only ever one other airline in our world that really looked towards the A380 as being a solution to a problem that I will get into. And remember, this came at a time where Airbus was scrambling to try and keep the program alive and were certainly reaching a point where they knew it would be unattainable. The only way would be to attract new orders. And the talk of this customer was not new orders, rather the second-hand market. And yes, I'm looking at British Airways, looking to that second-hand market that was notorious for basically not existing. And the UK-based company's interest, if turned into something firm, could have certainly changed the narrative. So why did British Airways want more Airbus A380s, and why did this whole thing never eventuate? Well, in 2019, British Airways expressed interest through the International Airlines Group CEO at the time, Willie Walsh, who revealed that adding capacity to the UK-based airlines network would be a priority, and this could be achieved by leasing the world's largest passenger plane. And if these plans were to go ahead, British Airways would have been eyeing a prospective increase from the 12 aircraft it had taken delivery of upwards to 18, a modest 6th-unit increase that would have had an important role to play in adding capacity across key markets. But why? Well, because in 2019, there was a lot of discussion surrounding how airlines would navigate the tight capacity scene at London Heathrow, which we know would be running at total capacity. There's not a whole lot amount of wiggle room with regards to expanding, and there was a need for capacity. So the prospects of bumping up capacity without requiring more flights could be attained through a larger aircraft in terms of scale. It's a solution that was thrown around, but one that highlighted more than anything the concerns present across British Airways. And this could stretch to other airlines that at the time were feeling the capacity restraints and a general inability to expand, as they may have seen fit. Slots are precious at Heathrow, and if you're looking to pinch one, not only will you have hard luck finding a slot actually available, but also able to afford the colossal fees associated with such a prime location. It's why we've seen so many airlines look towards smaller airports in the London area. Maybe that could include Gatwick. And when you consider that an expansion of Heathrow has stalled quite considerably, airlines have been forced to adjust their expectations, on top of that, rejig their network, and make other related changes for the greater good over the last decade. Willie Walsh indicated that the only way they would have moved ahead with acquiring second-hand A380s would have been if the price was right. However, while there was an appetite for the aircraft to have an even larger role, that price point could never be agreed upon. In terms of the official, price point that British Airways were looking towards, that was never publicly disclosed, but no doubt negotiations would have taken place, and the airline alongside IAG just wouldn't have been able to agree to the terms to have this make sense. Interestingly, the dialogue would come a mere few months before the emergence of the global pandemic. While yes, airlines have been scrambling to source capacity as we approach the mid-2020s, it'll soon be 6 years since 2019, and I know that makes me sick to say out loud to you, but it is important to realise. Was it a blessing in disguise that a price could not be agreed upon for British Airways to grow its commitment to the A380 further? Well, honestly, if we're basing it solely off economic conditions that would follow, I think you'd definitely be able to argue that yes. While the intent was clear and the potential positive ramifications have been very well documented, the emergence of a pandemic would have totally derailed a lot of this, and despite the jets that they were looking at being on a lease, it would have overcomplicated matters when they already had so much to deal with. I know hindsight is everything, everything, but seeming I am looking back at the last 6 years and this story, I do feel it's worth mentioning. So generally, British Airways wouldn't proceed with adding aircraft, while the airline would continue to commit to the A380 during the pandemic in the sense of it believed it had a future with the type. The idea of them not moving ahead with second-hand units was definitely the nail in the coffin for this market. As Emirates begins retiring their A380s at a more rapid rate, ensuring their fleet is modern, there won't exactly be takers for this aircraft, at least at this stage. You can let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Do you believe British Airways should have moved ahead with taking on the aircraft? Or do you think it was the right decision in the end that they were unable to agree to the right price? Let me know down below. Thank you very much for your support here on the channel. Take care, be safe, and I'll see you next time.
And we'll fly.